Good evening. I'm Robert Stone, the chair of the Underhill Selectboard. Today is the 4th of December. It is 6:02. This is a special select board meeting being held here at the town hall at 12 Pleasant Valley Road. It's in person and offering remote access. We got a little bit of a late start, but that's okay. So there has been an agenda that has been provided and published. Are there any amendments to the agenda before we get started?
I think John just had, you wanted to give an update about the tree shear work on Poker Hill or not? Well, no, but not right now, but he's asking for additions to the agenda.
So I'm gonna put that in before the highway supervisor report. So after public comment, we'll get right to it. Any other adjustments?
I'm going to propose as part of the budget review process that you do a quick update on the fire department's proposed budget. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Or do you want a separate item?
Nope.
Did you get my email, Patty? I don't know. Did you want to wait for Shara? No, because she was part of that meeting.
I'm happy to.
I was going to put it, my plan was, I emailed you, I'm sorry if you didn't see it, but
I didn't see it.
my entire plan was to put it on the regular meeting
Okay,
agenda because people look for that.
Okay, happy to do that.
Also, I've reached out to Todd for the documents.
Okay.
My only theory with this is it's fresh in everybody's head when we go to the 18th. If we talk about it now, then it's 2 weeks later.
Right, I am fine to do that, but I will give Jennifer copies of this so she can upload it into the file. So we're informed.
I'm going to have it tomorrow anyway because
So we are not adding that onto the specifics of the agenda. Are there any other amendments to the agenda? Dan, you have anything? Okay, let's get going. First item on the agenda then is the opening public comment period. So I see there isn't anyone in the virtual world that I see. We have a couple people here. Any comment?
Anton Kelsey, I live on Pleasant Valley Road, Chair of the Recreation Committee. Just here for a brief moment, as I think we all know, we withdrew the proposal for the lighting. I wrote up some points that I just would like to be part of the public record. They were the same points that I posted in the forum last night, but I think they clarify some things. And I think it's worth having them as part of the minutes as something official. I'm not going to go through them just because I don't want to take the time of public comment. I think if people want to read them, they can look in the minute to see those. So I will send a digital, well, I already sent you a digital copy, I believe, but here's a hard copy just for the record. And then also just thanks to the board for their support in the process of, looking at the lights and see if something that we'll be interested in. And it was certainly an interesting process. I'm always interested in how the community responds to different things. And I think, it's always a learning thing as you put things forward to the community. And I think for my chair, it was really interesting, but I also think you learn by different processes. And the thing that's exciting for me is, sometimes things don't go the way that you expect, but there's other projects to do and other ways to do and improve our community. And I'm just looking forward to, what's the next project that we're going to tackle? And I think that's my attitude going forward. So appreciate your time and energy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anton.
Well said.
Any other public comment?
Thank you. David Demarest, FU 111, previously New Road 144. The balance between recreation and conservation that was kind of fleshed out a little bit with Tomasi Meadow. I think it's important that the public, because there's so many new people, learn more about the history, where Mills Riverside Park, for example, was not supposed to infringe upon the bear habitat at higher elevations, but it does, in fact, infringe upon bear habitat just for recreation. The development of trails at the town property where the town garage is adversely impacting bird nesting grounds, encouraging unleashed dogs to chase deer during the winter, encouraging public trespass on private property, and parking in a way that blocks my access. Those are examples of a select few getting to do whatever they want, the over 18 grand that the Recreation Committee got to spend selectively by Anton Kelsey. And with the lighting plan being withdrawn, I would encourage the town to actually just simply not do it versus do what they did in 2013 of April, where there was legitimate concerns about the development of the trails at the town garage property, and they withdrew that application and then moved forward and did it anyway. So I'd really encourage the town to actually not be as disingenuous as it was when Anton Kelsey, and I'm glad he's here because I don't like talking behind anyone's back, said that Front Porch Forum is not moderated. It is in fact moderated. That is a fact. And he shouldn't publicly be misrepresenting that fact to the town. I only have one post per month maximum. So the post that I used on Tomasi Meadow, if I lost my dog, if I found a dog, I've used up my one single post per month on Front Porch Forum. So I can't post again. That's the type of moderation Front Porch Forum does. And it willfully misrepresents the public opinion by not letting a free dialogue be heard.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move right on. Don Colby's here, our tree warden. So we'll turn this over to Don for an update.
Grab another chair. Just have her bring up another chair. But
Yes, hi, Don Toby, Town Tree Warden. I just wanted to update you folks on the tree removal work that has been going on Poker Hill Road by DJ's Tree Service. They started on Tuesday and it snowed, so it slowed them down a little bit. They had a good day yesterday. And then today they were right about at the steep part of the hill on the paved section, and that squall hit, so that shut them down also. So they quit about 2 o'clock. So they were almost done with a full day, but they've said that they will give us a full half day of time to make up for their slower progress on Tuesday and quitting a couple hours early today. The thing is, it would be better for us if we could get a full day from them, which might mean we pay for another half day. Progress. I have about 4 miles of trees marked and flagged up there, and they're just under about 2 miles. A lot of trees though. This particular portion of Poker Hill probably had 200 trees. So they've removed a couple hundred trees, which is good progress in just a little under 3 days. Once they finish the hill, which should be about a half a day, the other end of their progress is up on the height of land near Murad's field. So I would love to make it to North Underhill Station Road. So if we could do another full day and then a half day to give them 2 more days, that would be great. Again, we got 52 miles of roads to do, and we're talking about 3 miles approximately. Well, 4 if they make it to North Underhill Station.
Where are we as far, thank you, Don,
Yep.
for that update. Where are we at as far as budget wise for this project?
Well, the 3 days cost $30,000. So we will have spent that already. And it looks like the budget has 47. I don't know what's been spent already. I know there's been a couple of other tree removals that Russ has organized, and I'm not sure what those cost.
Okay. Can we find that out? Is there a way that we could? That'd be good. I would feel like that would be good information to have so the board, if need be, could take action tonight. That's fine. Russ is here so he can do the interpretive dancing while we're all waiting. Thank you, Russ, for that interpretive dance. I'm sorry it wasn't caught on camera. It was beautiful. It's right.
Bill Cook?
Just recently.
Yeah. Yeah,
47.5 was the
Yeah,
total for this
47.5.
fiscal year.
You're asking for, will you give us a half day? You're looking for another full day?
I'm looking for another half day to fill out the first day that they're going to give us a half day, and then perhaps another day. So they would actually be on Poker Hill for 2 additional days. And I guess at their current rate, that would be about 15,000, which actually would just about perfectly use up the budget. But is it smart to use the budget up this early in the fiscal year?
Not if we need.
Yeah, right.
We're 6 months in, so
Yeah.
we're gonna be.
So we were at 950 before that, 1,600, so we already got 1,000 under tree and brush removal before that.
The other option is possibly like contractors. Contractor line.
Yep. So,
Let me do some math. What do you,
950 plus, I think it was 1,600. I can pull that up too right now.
It was.
so it's 40, basically 45,000. And how much was this contract?
30.
Yeah, so we got 15 left.
And that's about what they need.
Yeah, that's what it would be.
And do we know what we have in the contractor line? Sorry, Jennifer, really making you like,
Yeah, in the contract line, we have 30,000, and to my knowledge, we haven't used it.
We also have some in that ash tree reserve, correct?
Not sure.
I mean, we set up a reserve for ash tree removal
Hmm.
several years back at town meeting, and we funded that.
Wasn't that only a couple $1,000s, 3,000?
I think it was 5, and then we may have done it a couple of years, but I know we did use some of that, I think, to treat some ash trees in the
Yeah.
park,
That we
like
did,
the
yeah.
Memorial Park.
Yeah, right.
But Jennifer might know.
So it appears that there is money.
Yes.
It's a matter of if there's a spirit of wanting to make a motion to authorize for an additional 2 days of work on Poker Hill for DJs to continue their operation. So a motion would be in order if so warranted.
I'll move so we can have a conversation about it. But I'll move that we authorize DJ's tree service for additional 2 days for the anticipated cost of $15,000 for additional ash tree removal along Poker Hill Road.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Here, go ahead.
If you, no, I think I'm close enough that I just want to make sure that I'm heard on the record and not screaming from the other side of the room. If you move to do this, then I can have a budget transfer line for the line item prepared for the next meeting for you to sign. But it appears that we have the money to do that and I can talk to Russ and we can decide which makes the most sense to use, but either from the contractor and professional services line or the contractor miscellaneous line, it looks like we have the money in there to cover that.
Did we use any of the ash tree reserves money?
No, but we have not used it yet, but we don't have much in there.
$5,000, I think.
3, I
About 3.
think, yeah,
How much?
3,000.
3,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Not
So any other discussion?
I would say if we wanted to use the money out of the tree line, and then just have it know that if we need tree removal, that we can use contractor line. You know, if we have emergency or major trees or something,
Should I say that on the record?
keep in mind too, windstorms.
I think it's clear that we can move money in the budget if we authorize you with a memo to move it from one line item to another. And it seems like what I'm hearing from both you and Russ is that we have a contractor line item that is available.
Yes.
Dan?
I believe it's important to do this because it's a big job we have all over town and we don't want to lose momentum. If we get a jump in this highly populated area of ash trees, that would be a very good thing.
Right. And they're fairly dense on Poker Hill, but we do have other sections of roadway in town that really don't have many. So, the sort of perceived slow progress on these last 3 days wasn't really because there was a lot of ash trees there. In other areas, I'm still hoping that maybe in off seasons, our road crew guys can do a little bit of this work. I mean, a lot of these trees are pretty small and could be handled by a trained road crew, which we have. And I'd also like to note that a lot of the ash on Poker Hill, even ones that looked fully leafed out this past summer, as they're coming down and I'm getting a good look at them, they're infested with the beetle already. And, we finished doing the inventory on the far end of Poker Hill just this fall. And in that inventory, I got a much higher percentage of dead or poor health ash than we did 2 years ago when we did the south end of Poker Hill. So it's happening now. Trees are dying, and it's happening relatively quickly.
Thank you.
With that information, to me, it's a no-brainer to go ahead.
Yeah.
If the beetle is there, it's time to
Yeah.
get him as soon as we can.
Yeah.
My only question is around anticipated timelines if there's further weather delays of kind of where they're, if they're blocked off for a day to do the work, but the weather prohibits them. Like if that 2 days ends up getting spread out over a longer period of time, is that how the billing would work? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, possibly, but they have, a lot of equipment that they bring and large pieces of equipment that have to be brought in on flatbeds. And so they don't like to just come in for a half a day.
Right.
Or, they'll do it for a day, but they would prefer more than 1 day.
Could we say something like, we kind of got, a disadvantage with the weather this time. Is there any way we could look out the outlook and see if we've got 2 good days coming?
Yeah.
And maybe try to capitalize on the good weather.
And that thought has occurred to me too.
Mhm.
I would like to try and schedule this for good weather.
Right. Ideally, yes.
Are they leaving the equipment on site or is it?
Excuse me, Russ?
Are they leaving any?
Yes, they left the big Centerbogan on site for the 3 days.
It's all gone now, though, right?
Yeah, they left.
Everything's
today.
gone.
They
pulled it all out.
took everything. Yeah, right. So there's nothing on site now, so it would be easy to say, okay, let's plan 2 more days, but let's look out,
hmm Okay.
not too far out, because, once they schedule it, they want to keep to that schedule because they've got other jobs on
Sure.
that they're scheduling around too. But yeah, I'll do my best to work with them to get it done.
And the weather always cooperates and is never unpredictable. So
Yeah, like the weather was so beautiful yesterday and they got a lot done.
we bet. All right.
Dan?
Given your assessment of the trees and the damage already and the presence of the beetle, I would think that it would be essential to keep those trees, if the homeowner wants them, on site and not spread around. It's going to come anyway, but if we can slow down the process
Yeah,
so it doesn't all come at once. In other words, I don't think this wood is a candidate for wood for good, where it can be cut up and spread all around this town and other towns.
yep. So,
If it's infected, it needs to stay on the site.
yep. I mean, this has all been in my thoughts, and
Nice.
Underhill and Jericho, and all the surrounding towns in Chittenden County have known infestations. So it's everywhere. And in talking with Eric at Wood for Good, he is keeping all of the ash trees that are coming off of this job and the other job in Jericho that we're doing, where the trees are known to be infested. He's keeping it separate, and it's only going to be delivered to people who live in the vicinity of these infested areas that we know are infested.
Very good. I'm glad that he's
Yeah, and
taking.
I was really successful. I mean, it made more work for me, but I was very successful in getting landowners to want to keep their wood on Poker Hill. It meant I had to go back and put ribbons on those trees. So the way we have it worked is that every tree to be cut has a blue paint X. And then trees that are also to be left for the landowner have a pink ribbon. So when DJs comes up, every tree with blue gets cut, but if it has a pink ribbon, they leave the usable sections there, firewood sized pieces for the landowner. And it's worked pretty well.
Nice.
A lot of pink ribbons up there.
All right. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
I
welcome.
thought it was because Russ liked the color pink. It's not the case. Okay. Any other discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, the nay. Motion carries 4-0. All right, Don, anything
Awesome.
else?
Great. I'll keep you all apprised of what's going on.
Sounds good.
Thank you for the photos.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, get the photos out. Send me the video. Get it
Yeah.
out there, buddy.
I took a couple of really kind of interesting videos of DJs using their Cinnabogin to reach up and over power lines and cut the tree off halfway up and lift the whole top of the tree over the lines and then in the road, and then reaching over and getting the whole butt section. And these probably weigh 1,000 pounds and lifting it up and over the power lines. And I was hoping we could watch them tonight, but we can't get them downloaded off the,
Well, hopefully Brad
Flash
can
drive.
work his magic
Yeah.
tomorrow or the
We'll
next
figure
day
it
and
out.
get them on the website.
because I'd like to put those on the website.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Good.
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
All right,
you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right,
John.
without further ado, Russ is here to discuss a couple items.
I'll give an update first of what we've been doing. Plowing. Lots of plowing. So I want to just bring up a few things that we've talked about in the past that we wanted to add to the budget if we were going to move forward in it with these purchases. And the first one, we've talked very little about, but is to purchase a pre-owned backhoe loader. And I sent you guys a memo with a little bit of information, but I could go more into some discussion. But I feel that in our situation, when we're asked to do a job, that we need all of our equipment to operate and to successfully do our job. You know, we have several trucks, we have a spare truck, so that all works out well. We have one piece of equipment to load trucks with sand and salt or gravel if we needed if we had a flood or something like that. I'd like to have this piece of equipment for one of the main reasons is to have another option to load trucks if our current loader for some reason fails during a storm. Because without that, we're useless. And I don't like being useless. But the other option with that piece of machinery would be during the summer, I found that we have lots of options to have a second crew doing other work. Like if we're ditching in an area where we're dumping our fill close by, we only need the excavator operator and one truck. You get two trucks, it's just too much, and there's a lot sitting around. So if we could have another two-person crew out doing cleaning berms, end of culverts, things like that, or if we have a windstorm and we need to be going different directions, we'd have another piece of equipment to be able to utilize. Obviously, I like new, but with the town not having one currently, I'm suggesting a good pre-owned unit. Get our feet wet with it, see how it works, and then moving forward, we can make a plan later down the road when it comes time to replace that piece of equipment. We have other options too of beavers causing trouble, and if we get an excavator out on one end of town doing a job and we need to clean beaver debris and things like that, we've in the past have hired local contractors to go in with a smaller excavator to do that kind of work. So it's just to be more self-sufficient in our department. Those are some of the main reasons that I feel that it would be good to have that piece of equipment. So these three options are obviously looking to put into the budget. So
I had a question for Russ.
Okay.
Certainly understand the rationale and the thought process, but given it's a spare, so to speak, or used sporadically, have you thought about renting equipment when it's on an as-need basis?
I have thought about that during the summer months to do some of these other jobs. But at the time, say we go in tomorrow morning and we go to, the trucks are usually loaded at night, so we're good with the first load. But we go to get into that loader and for some reason it doesn't want to go.
How often does that happen?
It has not happened yet.
Okay, would.
No. So it has not happened, but I just feel that it's a mechanical piece of equipment and things do happen. So if we got into that situation, it's not like John Angelino has one or, somebody close by. The only way we have to do is try to rent one from one of the local dealers if they had one. Usually in the winter months, they lease out a lot of their rental stuff to contractors that do like parking lots, and you may see them sitting at Best Buy or things like that the loader's sitting there. Those sometimes are leased out. So sometimes the options are could be limited, but that doesn't help you at that time, that moment, at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Excavator can load trucks with excavator.
The excavator could, if it, like today, no, because you gotta run the sand through the sand screen because it's all chunked up and froze. So you've got to run it through the sand screen, and you're not going to be able to dig out of the sand screen with an excavator to load the trucks. So if it was all like one of the first few storms where you could just dig into the pile and load the trucks, yeah. So that it is an option. It would take so long to load that way.
So
Would you have a sense of how many hours this piece of equipment, like my concern is if we have it as backup and it sits, things that sit just kind of crumble and rust and I'm just.
I think in the winter months, it would sit and it would be unless we needed it. So unless we had a windstorm like we did back in January of 20, whatever it was, we're going all over the place. Then it would be utilized for something like that. But in the summer months, I do feel that it would get utilized a fair amount.
So I'm going to tap the brakes.
Okay.
And say, I think enough information has been presented. If you would like to make a motion as it relates to this request, this would be a good time to do that. Otherwise, we will move on. So I will entertain a motion by the board if they'd like to do something about the backhoe.
And this is a motion to put it in the budget, correct? Or to purchase it now?
It would
I
be
guess when I did these memos, I
I'd like
wasn't
to ask
expecting
voters to approve. the
motions.
purchase.
I was more expecting discussions about if we wanted to put it in the budget, weigh the budget out, see how it looks, with what I was talking about. And then,
I think, so I'm going to tap the brakes again. I think that you would have to agree on the concept, and then we can fine tune it as far as if you want to put it into the budget, or do you want to make it as a separate article, or how you want to deal with the expenditure of the backhoe. But in order to move forward, I think we need to make a motion that we are interested in moving forward with this piece of equipment, and then we can work out those other details later. But it appears that there's interest, but I need to get a motion and I need to get it seconded before we can continue this conversation. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next piece.
So I think I'm understanding this right. So I would move that we add the purchase of the backhoe loader to the budget for fiscal year 2027.
Okay, so it's moved that you want to purchase this and put it into our budget. That's what I heard. So is there a second? I will second that. Discussion.
I think I am. Oh, Jennifer.
I just wanted to say, so when Russ and I met to talk about these 3 items, I went and put them so that you could see the impact when we get into the budget. Inline 265, I did put that in. I put the purchase of these things in here so that they would be in version 3. So when we get to the budget discussion, they'll be in there and we can talk about the impact on the budget. But Russ and I felt strongly that it was important to, be very transparent, that the number that's in this line item is representing these 3 items that he's talking about. And then the question is whether or not, because we wouldn't be requesting to borrow money. And typically when you buy something and you put it, you want to ask the voters, because if we're going to borrow money for more than a year, we're required to ask the voters for that separately. But if we're just buying something, it's a budget item. So, if we're just using our taxpayer dollars and it's just buying it, we're not borrowing money and incurring debt, then we don't have to have it as a separate motion. But we want to be transparent. So Russ wanted to explain these 3 items and their rationale. And then once we get to the budget discussion, I think that's where you'll see the impact as to whether or not it's a good idea or not to have it as a capital expenditure this particular year.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking in terms of I think I would want to see the budget impact before we approve a final purchase. I think the motion that I made was just to add it to the budget to sort of see that impact. And then I think we can make conversation.
Your motion was actually to purchase
Was it
it. So I think I would you may want to retract that.
I see.
Do something like you were saying, which makes sense.
Okay.
No, the motion I got was just to, well, I guess she did use the word purchase.
Yeah,
Never mind.
that's what I heard.
Okay. So then I'd like to retract the previous motion and make a new motion to add the potential purchase of the backhoe to the 2027 budget for further analysis.
Okay. Seconded. Any further discussion? Sorry, I need to look over here.
I'm glad for the retraction in the new budget because I would have voted against the first one. But I don't mind seeing how it compares. And I think that we need to see, how it fits in the budget or our debt load, as the case may be, along with the other things.
Agreed. I think that we can put things on, but be aware that things may come off. Depending on how this all figures out as far as the percentage of increase that we are, looking at. There's a lot of moving pieces right now. And so we need to figure out what those variables are somewhat quickly, so that the voters are going to know what they're, what they're looking at.
And Russ, assuming the other two items also land in the budget, you might want to start thinking about which is your preferred of the three. Because that's a big wish list
No,
for.
I realize that's why
Christmas.
it was more, when I planned this, it was more for discussion when we're talking about
Perfect.
budget
Yep.
and how things level out.
Perfect.
Wasn't a demand by any means.
Got
It
it.
was more of, these are things that we feel that we can do our job better
Right.
and more efficient and safer, and
It was a
more
big
for discussion.
circle around it in this year's catalog in the
Exactly.
garage, and
I want this
I
one.
want this one. I don't think it was Sears though.
So we used to do Sears Road.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question?
Please state the question, the motion again.
So the motion that I recall, and please help me, Maureen, is that we are going to consider the purchase,
Yes, you were adding the potential purchase to the 2027 budget for further consideration.
Very good. Ready for the question?
Mhm.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, the nay. The motion carries 4-0. All right. The next one, Russ.
So the
Is
next
the
one
tree shear.
is, I think we all can recall talking about the tree shear back several months ago. And I believe still strongly in it. And I think that I recall there seemed to be good reception from the board. However, it wasn't a planned purchase. And so I'm bringing this back up as we talked about prior. I think you even heard Don talking about DJs, how they operate. It's not quite like a Centobogan, but it's similar, where you can reach up, take the top, take the bottom of these smaller trees. So I do think that it could even help us out in this aspect of tree removal for the ash trees. So that's more of a continuation of our discussion back several months ago.
Okay, so same type of concept, a motion to potentially consider this, Maureen, as you eloquently put,
Okay.
would be in order if that's your desire.
Then I will, in the same vein, make a proposal to consider the purchase of the tree shear to add it to the budget for further consideration.
Very good. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I am basically not in favor of it, especially given what DJs is able to do. And I think that this is a light application with small trees, which can be dealt with other ways. However, given the potential nature of the motion and the wish list of the road crew, I would vote for the potential.
Very good. Any other discussion?
My only thought is thinking about the potential for future saving for the town, just in we own the equipment, we're not paying contractors to do this work, and kind of have more flexibility for the town to be able to do more chunks and smaller amounts. So I think it is worth the potential consideration, but it is a significant price tag. So I think there's a lot to weigh.
Anything else? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the tree shear proposal, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? The nay? That motion carries 4-0. Next.
Okay, the last one is the potential purchase of the 2021 dump truck that we leased. Our original plan was to lease that truck for 3 years and turn it back in. And when the 2018 got replaced, we would put the 2018 in as our spare truck. However, we all know what happened with the 2018, and we ended up selling the 2018. So that kept this 2021 as our spare truck. And we already this year alone utilized that truck for the first 2 weeks of snowstorms when we had a truck down for some engine repairs. So it's a priceless option to have a spare truck to keep up with the demands of taking care of the roads in the town of Underhill. So that was in discussion as well back when we leased the truck as a potential sale or purchase at the end of the lease. But I think I know our main goal was to have this truck to utilize for 3 years and then turn it back in and utilize our 18 as our spare. However, that things changed through the years with that 18, and that is now not owned by the town of Underhill. So this would be our option to continue to have a spare truck for our needs.
I've been trying to find the minutes, and I thought I was going to do it earlier today, but I didn't have time. So I know Patty made the motion when you decided to lease this truck, as I remember distinctly, that if we were to ever consider the purchase, which I think is a good idea myself, if you care to know,
It goes
but
to the voters.
it goes to the voters.
Yeah.
And I can find that.
I remember that.
So if it's an article on the on town meeting, then it would have to be subtracted from the budget. And then, but I would make the article very clear that, we're either paying for it, it would be an addition to the budget, right? Which would make the overall bottom line go up. Or you could borrow the money, either way. But it seems like paying for something like, we're talking 40 grand.
Right, and I don't want to get into the habit of leasing items and avoiding the vote process, because it doesn't speak well to me. It's like, I want to be very transparent to the voters. And that's typically what we do when we're going out for a dump truck or some large purchase. We actually incur debt and put it to the voters. Do you want to do this? Yeah, Russ, one other thing that would help me with all
Excuse me,
the,
just,
Sorry.
if we could, I'd like to have a motion on the table before we further discuss this.
So what would the motion have to
Yeah,
be then that we want there to be an article for town meeting? For the
The
voters
potential
to-
proposal would be to add this as an article for town meeting for the purchase of the dump truck.
We could work out the details of the wording of the article later.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, if we do not do that, the lease is up when?
Got a year almost, I think, right?
So it is,
Yeah, I had it here. It's in your packet. I put a one-page thing with
well,
shares.
the last payment is due in fiscal year 27.
Okay.
And then I think it's 30 days after
After the
that,
last payment.
The final, the balloons.
the balloon is due.
So
Because we had it 1 year.
if we don't do it now.
Right.
I think you're gonna lose that opportunity to buy it. You're gonna turn it in. So if you're gonna buy it and you want to make the motion to have this as an article for the voters to consider, this is the time. So that would need to be, the motion is that you want to consider, adding a separate article to purchase the 21 truck.
The other option is you can release that piece of equipment as an option. I don't think it's a $40,000 price tag is probably better to purchase, but that is an option to extend the lease or release that piece of equipment.
So a motion
I'm
would,
going to make a motion that we consider adding this to our list of voter items for next town meeting day for the purchase of the 2021 dump truck.
perfect. Any
I'll second.
discussion?
I would like to see an equipment and a vehicle list so we can kind of look at the big picture of all this stuff as we're adding more and more equipment and more vehicles. I'd like to look at our inventory and just eyeball it. So Is it possible to bring that up to the next?
Yeah, and that's also in the town report as well.
Yeah,
I'm just saying if there is,
That's, all right, so
But
that's
yeah.
where I would go.
well, no, we can get it. That's not a
Yeah.
problem. I'm just saying
Okay.
it is listed in the.
As we're looking at all this stuff, it's important to keep an eye on, okay, what do we have next year? What do we have the year after? And I also want to look at our debt limit. Are we bumping up on that? It's another question I have relative.
We're not bumping up anywhere
Okay.
near it.
All right, so
Well,
that's not
debt
an
limit,
issue.
but our debt, our
No.
debt is
Debt.
higher than it's ever been.
But
We're
we
not
are,
at our limit. Well, who knows what the limit is, but.
the limit is something that no one in this town would feel comfortable with
All right, so
in
that's,
a million years.
So
It's just hard because the highway department tools are expensive.
totally
Yeah.
understand
You
that.
know, it's not the
I
town
absolutely
office that needs a
understand.
computer or a server or something
No,
like that.
Absolutely understand
It's,
that.
it's just that,
it's big money items.
it's just,
It's a balancing act. It's,
Right.
you, obviously, you guys are doing great work. You're doing fabulous stuff. But we have to balance
Absolutely.
it
I
with
understand.
the impacts on the taxes and the implications of the bottom line. That's really what
Get
it
it.
boils down to.
Mhm.
Maybe if not this year, the next year, the third year.
Take it easy.
I feel like I've been agreeing with Tyson. Wow. Yeah.
That's my interpretive dance.
You're jazz.
Right, Everybody gets a chance for interpretive dance tonight.
So I have a list.
Jeez.
I have a list of our current inventory that I did for the insurance company just the other day. So
Oh.
we'll whip that
That'll be
out.
helpful.
It has, values, everything
Sweet.
else. And then
Okay.
Jennifer maybe could say where our minimum payments are.
Okay.
Could
That'd be
I
helpful.
quickly just talk about Bridge 7 here?
Oh,
Is
do
that
we need to
off
vote
the-
though on this
We
motion?
Oh, I'm
finish
sorry.
this.
Yep. I'm sorry. I thought you voted.
So, any other discussion on the 21 truck? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, now Brad.
I just wanted to bring this up, and it's going to be on the agenda for the 11th, but I think it's really, the timing is good because you're going to be talking about the budget discussion next with Jennifer. But we had the bids came in for Bridge 7 yesterday.
Excellent.
They ranged from 800 or 980,000 to 1.3 million.
Whoa.
So we've had a lot of discussion with the engineer and Mike over the past couple of days here. We're going to have some recommendations for you on the 11th.
Okay.
But I would anticipate that we will be bonding that full amount, the 878, and then utilizing the full grant as well. So just to keep in the back of your mind.
Mhm.
And I think Jennifer's worked that
Okay.
debt into the budget.
Anything else, Russ?
No.
Thank you for
All right.
coming in. I'm sure you've had a long day.
Yeah, the roads have been looking great. Thank you guys very much. You're doing a wonderful
Doing
job.
Fabulous work.
Thank you.
It's true. And actually, on my way in, my kids are saying, the roads in Underhill really look great. So I want to make sure I put that on the
It
record.
all looks great in the
My
winter.
kids really appreciate it.
All looks great in the winter.
That's fabulous. Roads in Underhill. We're rocking it.
They really do. They feel a lot
Alright.
of town pride.
We're a little behind schedule, so we'll get right to Jennifer with
Appreciate
the
it.
review of the fiscal year 27 budget version 3.
So you want to switch?
Yeah, I better because
You're not plugged in that.
well, I don't want it to die on us.
Right. That's why. Yeah, and I think you just have to start sharing.
Could you slide the mic back around too?
Yeah, I'll slide the mic up to Jennifer a little bit better.
Testing. Share. I think my recommendation for discussing this budget would be version 3, fiscal year 27. My recommendation would be that we start with the highway items so that Russ can go home and get some rest in case we need him early in the morning, if that's okay with you guys. So version 3, I think we should start with the changes that we made beginning with line 255, which I can't tell you what page that is, but it's the bridges, culvert, guardrail line. And you're going to see a $75,000 in there, which is a $35,000 increase in that line item. And what that represents is, and why I think it's important for us to discuss this, is because the $35,000 is a recommendation that came about from the Highway Infrastructure Committee to do and I'll let Russ talk about it, or Brad.
It's actually on the agenda for the 11th.
It's on the agenda for the 11th.
Part of Mike's
Okay.
packet.
So it's going to be discussed next week. So maybe we want to leave it in here and talk about it next week, but it represents this special painting for a beam on a bridge. So I guess we should table that one then and just leave it for next week. Forget it.
We'll not forget it.
We'll talk about it next week. And then I'm guessing the same would be for line 257, which is the pavement options.
Mike would have come tonight, but he just wasn't available. So
Okay.
We're just going to do the whole.
So I'll leave that for next week as well. Then I think we should take a look at line 262, which is the highway notes line. What I wanted everyone to notice, because this is what's important when we start to talk about our debt, what we're carrying for debt. I have another sheet which I can flip over to here, which is our current debt. See if this works. No promises. Did it work?
Yep.
There we go. So this will kind of give you an idea of,
I think I can. Hang on. Is that better?
there we go.
Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can
So
slide it.
what has happened, and here's the trend. If you look at the top at the 2022 truck, we were paying 1.59% interest. We're now paying 5.5% interest. So this is kind of gives you a feeling for, and then our trucks that were costing us 200,000 back when we bought that truck, those trucks are now costing us 300,000. So inflation is really kind of kicking the total cost of the equipment up. And then on top of that, it's also the interest rates not helping us. So, so while this year the F-350 loan is not on here, that was paid off. And the other loan that we had that was for was it a paving loan? We got paid off also this year. So we had two notes that came off of this, but then for fiscal year 27, we've got the 2026 truck comes on and the bond payment comes on. So the way that the 20-year bond gets paid, this represents the $878,000 debt, but it's 20 years, and bonds, the payment schedule is it's not like a regular amortization schedule. The payments change each year. So I can't explain it, but I can certainly, once we know it, we didn't know until today for sure that it was going to be the 878. I can have a sample for next week of what the bond schedule looks like. But the first year, typically with our loans, when we buy a truck, if we buy the truck in fiscal year 26, our first payments of that debt aren't till fiscal year 27. With the bond, the year you get it, you do pay payments. So there's no gimme year. So what you can see here is that our debt is high. So that's just kind of give you an idea. And then you can see the principal and interest payments, and that's what is reflected. I'm going to switch back over.
And that bond is kind of low for the first year. It could double next year, right?
I can go get it. It's on my desk.
Well, no, but when we looked at it, it was like, it's kind of funky.
It's strange the way the payments work. So anyway, I just wanted you to see that. I'm going to keep moving because this is a moving target.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
We have money in reserve, correct?
Yes.
We have a reserve account.
Yep.
Is there anything prohibiting, I'm just throwing it out there, is there anything prohibiting us borrowing money from our reserve account? Instead of incurring interest from a bank, and we have money in our reserve account, why couldn't we take the money from our reserve account and pay the money back into our reserve account with, an interest rate of, we're borrowing money basically from ourselves and put the money back in instead of having to go out to a bank? Why can't, if we have the money in the reserve, why can't we do that? Is there anything prohibiting us from doing that?
I think you can use the reserves. I don't know anything about borrowing from reserves. I've never heard of that, but I
would think you'd
certainly
have
look
to go
into
back
it.
to the voters, to replenish the reserve.
But it just seems like if we could go back to that other screen and just show the interest.
It's not, the problem is our reserve's not built up yet at all. We're just starting to rebuild it again.
Yeah, right now the voters had voted that we're putting $100,000 each year into the reserves. So, I mean, which we really feel strongly that we need to do that because if we have another major disaster,
No, I get all of that.
Yeah.
What I guess I'm trying to say is that it seems like we're not getting a lot of money in interest by having money in a reserve account, but we're certainly incurring a lot of interest when we borrow money. So to me, it seems like, wouldn't it make more sense if we have the money in the account? And I know you want to keep money in there in case, something terrible happens. But if we had money in there, is that a possibility that we could even consider doing, is taking the money from our reserve account if we had the money in there? Because we're incurring interest of $15,000 to $44,000. It seems like, why wouldn't we just, put that interest, if we're going to borrow it, put the interest back into our own reserve account?
But if you did that, you wouldn't have the money in your reserve account, right? So
I'd be very concerned with using the reserve to pay for a capital item, because then we don't have the reserve in the event we have a heartache issue.
Yeah.
Something.
I feel like it'd be
catastrophic
one thing if it
goes
was
on.
like the $40,000 for the truck, right? If we're putting in $100,000 a year, I think I would be comfortable with doing something. But if it's borrowing this, $300,000, like I don't think we have enough in the reserves to make that.
It would certainly be an option available to the board. I assume, and I don't know if you would need to get voter approval to use the money in the reserve for a capital purchase like a truck or something like that. I don't know. That's why I'm.
Yeah.
Is there something prohibiting? Is there a law or ordinance that says that we can't do that?
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
We can move on.
It just makes sense of having a reserve account or an equipment reserve that money goes into every year. That's a very common thing in the municipal world. And that's how towns purchase equipment, is from their equipment reserve or their highway reserve. So we have a highway reserve. We don't have both, but that could be used for things like that. So if there's money going in every year, or you buy a large piece of equipment, maybe you take $100,000 and put it towards the truck or that piece of equipment, and you finance a smaller amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's like selling a piece of equipment and putting all that money. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, is that, we don't count on, in the budget process, we don't count on that money that we get from the sale of the piece of equipment. Like we just sold that dump truck and we were told that we were going to get X from the dealer and we ended up getting Y. Well, Y was $40,000 more approximately than X. So to me, it's just like, well, we can put that back into the highway reserve, or, does it make sense to have it into an equipment reserve that would be like a subcategory under the highway to say, like, when it comes time to borrow money, you have money in this account to, it just seems like,
We'll pull out the reserve. We have language. Dan and I were on the board, I think, when we set all this stuff up. And our idea, what I remember the most, was we wanted a highway reserve fund for a rainy day.
Sure.
We wanted it for disaster relief. That's why we set it up. And I think in those reserve funds, it spells out kind of what the purpose was.
it's probably worth double checking that language
Yeah.
and see what use cases are allowed. Because I think
But-
reducing our debt and kind of thinking carefully about where we are using and,
I'm also concerned about, it seems like there isn't the FEMA money rolling in like it used to. So having access to these reserve accounts is
Yeah.
going to be critical in the event that we have a disaster that hits, that we need to have, available resources on hand to be able to.
I think the equipment fund reserve is a great idea. I mean, if you go to a 10-year model and you save 10 years to purchase a truck, then you're buying it outright. And like Russ said, many towns do that. And then you're not borrowing any money.
Exactly.
That
I guess that's
kind
what-
of
that's what I'm going-
roundabout does what you're trying to do.
Right. That we're at least talking about.
I think that's a really good conversation for us to have. But I'll dial it back because for fiscal year, we've got to stick to the budget so that we can really get this going. But Russ and I have talked at great length about how and when it would be an appropriate time to have a discussion about setting up an equipment reserve so that we are putting money in, because we're looking at the high interest rates and we're saying to ourselves, we're paying 5% interest. We're paying literally next year in interest. Take the bond out, we're paying, $75,000 in interest. If we put 50,000 a year or something into an account, into a reserve, then when it comes time to buy a truck, maybe we're only borrowing 150 and we've got 150. So if we can, because we would rather put our money into the equipment or the purchase rather than paying interest with it. So I think we're all on the same page that this would be a really good idea. I don't think that this particular fiscal year, with this bond coming on, that I feel like we've got a lot on our plate. So probably asking the voters to add another, we're already 100,000 is coming out of the budget to go into the reserve, the contingency reserve already. So I don't think that this is a year, but once we look at the numbers, I think we can see if we have that. Once we look at our surplus, if that makes sense to start that reserve now or to look at planning for that in the future.
Or maybe we want to put it to a vote as a separate article. Should we establish, and it needs to be 0.25% or whatever it is, and have them, and we can explain why we think it, should be considered.
Yeah.
You'd have to do that anyway, right?
Yeah.
Set up a reserve
Yeah,
fund.
you have to. So anyway, going back to the budget, I wanted to also, while Russ is still here, that line 265, which is the vehicles and equipment line, this will change for next week, but you'll see it says 141,000. Hang on, let me go to the right.
Yeah.
So in order for us to have this discussion, Russ and I put the three items that we just talked about, the shear, the buyout of the lease, and the loader, we put that in there. That's what the 141,700 is, because hopefully next week I'll be able to tell you with all the stuff that's in here, what we're looking at for a tax rate. And even though we're now going to pull out the 21, because that we've established that needs to be a ballot item,
Yep.
I still think we need to look at, if it was voted for, what is it,
Sure.
how's it going to affect our tax rate?
Right.
So that we're all looking at it clearly. So I'm going to pull it out, but I want us to keep in mind anything that we're putting on here as a ballot item, best case scenario, everything gets approved, that's going to affect the tax rate. So it won't be the same tax rate as what we put in the town report and what we tell the voters at town meeting. It's going to be that number plus whatever extra things
But
are.
really, we only have the truck, and I think there's the one wood for good
Yeah.
appropriation. That's it.
So hopefully there won't be other things that
No
come up,
surprises.
but any other
Okay.
surprises. And then we're going to wait to discuss the line item.
Yeah, the paving.
The paving, we're going to wait to discuss next week. So I think that is it for,
Paving is 267, the infrastructure roads, the one, was that,
the 1.24,
right?
1.24 million would be that line.
That is,
And we're
okay.
going to wait to discuss that till next week when Mike's here to
Got
talk
it.
about all of the paving options and all that stuff.
But paving's up the chart a little bit, I think.
No, this line, the infrastructure roads.
So that line item 267 is just paving, that's not Bridge 7?
No, that's the bridge.
That's Bridge
Right.
7.
And the paving.
That's,
Okay,
that's all of it.
thank you. That's
Okay.
helpful.
Yeah, we're not.
Because I'm
Yeah.
like, we're going to do
We're gonna pave
1.2 million
1.2
in
million.
paving?
We're gonna do the whole town.
No, that, well, what's in that line, just so you know, I put it in the notes, is it's paving the short section of Mountain Road. It's River Road from the Hummel Bridge, which is the bridge at the bottom of Range Road, over to Sand Hill, and section of Pleasant Valley Road number 4. So that's what's in there. And we're going to discuss it next week. So, but that's,
And Bridge 7.
So with all those additions, the highway expenditures are up 44%. I'm looking at the bottom line, line 269. Is
yes,
that what I'm reading?
yes.
It's a lot.
But what I'd also like to point out, if you look at my little green highlight here at the bottom, at the bottom of the line, it says 3.614 million.
Yeah.
And I highlighted it with red without capital. Because of the bridge, the bridge is a really
Bridges.
big one and it's a 20-year bond. So that's what's really skewing this. If you look from the budget of 3.518, which is the year that we're currently in at the bottom there, and you look at this one, it doesn't represent that high of
So it's that
an
increase.
increase.
It's more, it's 100,000.
It's the bridge that's really
No,
throwing us off.
That's, okay, that's helpful.
And the ARPA, you have ARPA surplus funds going in there too.
Yeah, yeah. So
That
the,
offset.
yeah, the expenditure line on our total expenditures, that 5.3 million is a scary number. It's the first time our budget's ever been that high, over 5 million, but there's the ARPA money's in there, Bridge 8 is in there. So there's a lot of factors involved there. So that,
Is that, should I say?
don't let it scare you right now.
So all of Bridge 7.
Yeah.
878.
Yep.
Or plus.
That's 878 plus the 362,000, which is the paving.
Right.
But even with, I mean, if we pull out the capital, we still have expenses to pay for Bridge 7. So we do need to be conscious and look at the total impact. Bridge 7 is going to happen. The expenses in the bond interest payments are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We need to look at the bottom line of the budget and what that's going to do to the tax rate.
Yep.
So the company that took, or that there was a low bid, if we take our 878, what we're going to bond, and the $200,000 grant, we've got 1.08 million, right, to work with. So with the bid that this company put in, they theoretically left 98 million or 98,000 on the table. So hopefully that's enough cushion. What I'm really worried about is extras, and just hopefully this will all be enough, but
It's a big
it's
project.
a big project.
Stuff happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's all that I have on the highway end of things. So you can go home.
All right.
Go get some sleep.
All right.
I'm not kicking you out. Yeah. Okay, now I'm just going to go back up to the top and just point out a few other things. And then next week, my hope is that next week is where the rubber meets the road. We'll be able to
Thanks,
put
Russ.
Yeah, see ya.
we'll put the tentative number in for the fire department.
Okay.
I'll explain where we're at from a surplus standpoint, and I think we'll have a better idea of where we're at. I'm going up.
I'm just trying to get it. I don't like that fit the screen very well.
Am I there yet? Okay, here we go. Going down. Okay, first one, I don't know why it's not all fitting on the screen.
You just reduce a little bit.
Probably, yeah. Oh, I can go to like 90% probably. See if that works.
Then just scoot it over. Yeah, perfect.
Still can't see the line. Yeah.
Close enough.
Okay, there we go. So here's where you see under line 25, you can see the 200,000. We have the 200,000 in this year, which is the paving grant we got, and then 200,000 next year, which is the bridge grant. So anything that's an other source of income is money we aren't asking the taxpayers to pay. So and all of our other income sources, which unfortunately aren't a ton in Underhill, but the grants are some of it. So I just wanted you to see where that comes in. And then under other revenue, line 42, that's the $878,000 bond. So that's income also. Then I met with Amanda and we talked about the reappraisal, and I'm going to have an update for you next week about the expenditure there. And Amanda's going to come in next week to explain what she is asking to be put in the budget for reappraisal. And I'm going to let her do that discussion because she's got a whole plan about what we need to start for planning for another full reappraisal sooner than we thought, and how much money we're going to need to start putting aside into our reappraisal reserve, because it's going to cost us a lot of money to do a full reappraisal sooner than we thought. And we will not have accumulated the money in our reserve if we just rely on what the state gives us each year.
Excuse me, what did you say about a full appraisal? We're doing the statistical one this year.
Correct.
Are you talking about in what year?
I don't remember which is the year that she said, but she's going to come explain that next week. But there's some new laws about when a full reappraisal has to be done. And typically in the past, we receive this money from the state each year, which is around $13,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did our last full reappraisal, we had accumulated money in our reappraisal reserve. So we didn't have to cough up any other money. It just came from the reserve, and it
Right.
paid Tom at the reappraisal company to do the reappraisal. We will not have accumulated enough money to cover the cost this time. So she's going to ask that we increase this budget line and add some money to this each year so that we accumulate enough money to pay it the year we need to pay it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
But she'll explain that when she comes next week. Line 47, typically we don't put grants in the budget unless we have them in hand. We have this one in hand. It's $30,000 grant in aid. So that's for specific project, and we have the money, so we put it in here. Moving down to surplus line. This right here is not our surplus from the audited numbers. It's not our profit, so to speak, that we can carry through to this year. This specifically represents what is left of the ARPA dollars, which we moved into our general fund. So the reason I'm putting this here is because if we don't put it here and we do the projects, then we're going to be asking the voters to pay for it. And if we don't do the projects, then the money will stay in there. So everything has to be shown as a revenue and an expense, whether the revenue is coming from taxpayers or it's coming from other sources. So in this case, that's what's there. I will have the surplus number, the regular surplus number, added to that next time. So moving down, there wasn't a lot of changes in anything. That the line number 104 is going to change based on what mine and Amanda's discussion. So that's going to change again. Building maintenance. I do think this warrants a discussion. And last time we met, Bob mentioned requesting that we add $5,000 for a fire suppression system. And in no way meaning to be disrespectful at all to Bob, but the office staff talked about this a lot over the last couple weeks. We are not renting the space out right now. This space isn't, the floor isn't safe to be renting it out, and we're going to be cutting a hole in it to look at the floor to figure out what we need to do. The rest of the kitchen isn't of any grade of a kitchen that you would, it's not a commercial kitchen. The stove is an old 20-plus-year-old electric stove with, mouse turds inside it, to be honest with you, that we've only used once to bake cookies for Bob's father.
Not with the mouse church.
Not with the mouse turds, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not using that kitchen, and we're not renting it out. Yes, if there was an emergency and we needed to use the kitchen, we could. I don't feel that I personally feel like adding an Ansel system without upgrading the refrigerator and the stove, to me, adding it this year doesn't seem like it makes sense since we're not really using the space. So obviously, if you guys want to keep it in there, it's in there. I added it, but I think it's something that, maybe makes sense once we figure out what we're doing with the space, but to add it now, I feel like is kind of a unnecessary expense. But it is added. Then the next line, 113, I only wanted to point this one out because this number will go away. We are switching our, and I may get this wrong, but we're switching our internet to the VoIP, voice over internet protocol, upgrading our system. So we'll be on fiber optic, and that will take care of our phones and our fire department, telephone, internet, everything.
Hardline telephone will go away.
Yeah.
It'll be voice over internet.
So we won't have
And
that
it'll
expense.
and I think we're going to actually wind up saving some money.
Yeah.
Because
it's less
we
expensive than,
learned that there's fiber right out here lashed onto the
Yeah.
telephone.
so that will, once we get all the hard numbers in, that could be another saving of $5,000. Then technical expenses, I guess that's just,
We added 3 laptops.
oh yeah,
Because we know that we're eking these 3 laptops that that Sherry, Amanda, and I have to at least July, and then we can get some new ones.
Yeah.
So.
The sheriff, I don't know if we have an update on that. I
I
still,
don't have an update on that. No, still
okay.
waiting.
We still have, so the number that we have in there is still reflects double the hours at the current rate. And we're waiting, just so it's said in the record, we're waiting to hear back about the increase in the service that we requested to Chittenden County. Fire department, I'll add that for next week. We just got that today, so. The library number came in and was approved at a 5.2% increase, line 176.
The cemetery, I'm going to have some hard numbers on the fence because Jed Rule is the guy who lives right next to Bridge 7 that did the split rail fence for us at the pond. He's got the easement documents he's going to take down to his sister. We need some stuff from him. He's been very accommodating, and he was going to drop me off the recent pricing for per foot or per section for the split rail fence. And I said, we'd probably be interested in a 2-rail fence for the cemetery, and how much can we get done, for a certain amount of money. So he's going to give me that. We'll have that for this coming Thursday.
We increased.
I mentioned that before. I mentioned that before.
The green one?
Yeah.
I didn't know that we had 179. We increased just for the Memorial Day Fund.
I brought that up to the garage.
Okay. Conservation, we did receive a letter from them. That was their request, 2,700.
That's included in the packet, I believe.
Yes, it is.
And then Winooski Natural Resources, we received from them, same, no
Standard,
change.
Yeah.
I
I gotta check the park district. They must have, I think they passed as well. Mills River Park.
And I have that one as, I had it already as the letter that we received, so. I just
Right,
don't
but
know
they
that-
just had their meeting.
Okay,
So that should be fixed as well, but
so
I'll confirm that.
we'll confirm that and finalize that for next week. Then in line 206, this is that surplus that's left. This is the remaining ARPA funds that were earmarked for the great room. So whether we do them or not, they're shown in the revenue, they're shown in the expense because we have to. Otherwise, we're going to lose track of them. So if we use $50,000 to get this floor shored up and that's done, then we only use 50 from the revenue and 50 from the expense. But it needs to be reflected in here somehow unless we decide we're not doing it this year, in which case we can take it off completely. I've made this green because I thought it was interesting. Line 208, our total general expenditures after all the things we just talked about, except keep in mind that there's some changes for the next version, 4.8% increase, including the capital expenditures. And 160 of that is the great room. So I think this to me is showing very responsible budgeting. There's no real fluff in there. And then the highway, I think we went over everything. You're going to see, this I wanted to point out because we had already talked about salaries, but you're going to notice that the highway salary line is up 6%, not 3%. It became very clear to me when I was looking at overtime. The way I've been doing budgeting overtime is at 250 hours per person. I sent you the document that showed that there, except for one of them, all of them are far exceeding 250 hours of overtime. So I felt that we needed to be more realistic in our budgeting. So this budget reflects the actual overtime hours. So it's not like I didn't change any salaries or rates, but that's reflecting a more accurate overtime calculation.
So why don't we see an actual overtime in the budget?
You mean how much it is?
Yeah, because that would be an indicator that if we're spending a lot of money in overtime, then you look at that and say, well, then do we need to pay or have an additional employee? Right?
It's mostly Russ. And I can send you the breakdown. I think I had emailed it to you guys, so you saw what it was, but it's mostly Russ overtime and it's the winter overtime. So it's not really, it's really more that in the winter months, they end up having to work more hours.
It's really that you've only been accounting for 250, but it's really been more.
It's always been more, but we've only been budgeting for 250.
But it also goes to show that in the winter time, do we need to have additional people on staff to plow? Because if you're spending a lot of money on overtime, type of thing, it's just like, well, then, is it reasonable to think that we need to have additional part-time employees that would come in and do that work?
That would be, to me, that's a supervisory, that's about whoever's supervising the road crew.
Well, that's our question. And I'm coming to you as the finance person asking that question, like, where are we at with that? Because that's an indicator to me as a supervisor of the road crew. If we're spending over 250 hours and it's a runaway train, then it's just like, well, I need to see the data.
I'm happy to provide all the overtime data you want.
I don't think that you're going to, even by having another person, it's not going to save them the overtime.
No.
You still got the same routes.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's there because they're shorthanded. It's just because they're.
Yeah.
I understand it takes 4 hours for them to do the route once. All of them out, it takes approximately 4 hours. And it all depends on the rate of snowfall and, conditions, breakdowns, there's a lot of variables that go into that. But it is something that we should be looking at is, how much we're spending in overtime and, how can we contain that?
I would think we'd have to get more equipment then.
We have equipment.
You don't have enough trucks. You got an extra truck. Yeah, you got one extra truck.
Yeah.
So just as an example, I think, Russ is the one that has the most overtime is Russ. And I think you'd have to do an analysis because this is just me talking off the cuff, but if his overtime is budgeted at about $24,000 for fiscal year 27, I think that was the number that I had, because I did send it to you. If you talk about another employee, then you're also talking about medical insurance, and the town's paying probably $30,000 a year in medical insurance for an extra full-time employee.
She
So
had sent this email earlier.
I think you'd have to really, take a look at that more carefully.
Or look at how, okay, so say like this morning, they went out around 11, right? They were in at the normal time. They didn't go out first thing this morning. I didn't hear anybody, but 11, the snow accumulated, they went out and then they made another round again. Then they went home. But
They could
versus,
come in later.
but if they, you could always come in later. I think yesterday they had 2 days in a row, so they took the afternoon off. But when you get into trouble is when you have 2 days in a row that are mega overtime, and then you still complete an 8-hour day the next day.
Right.
November 21st.
So that's how it compounds. But
The subject line is FY 27 budget.
Yeah.
FT employment. I think this is part of a broader employment benefits cost conversation that I think we have been starting to discuss around. There's a lot, right? And I think overtime is certainly a piece of that, of thinking about like where there are things that we can manage around to like keep our employees and keep our employees happy, but also think about what is the like most fiscally responsible way to manage this on behalf of the town. But
Agree.
yeah, it's another one of those things that feels like there's a tricky amount of things to balance here. So.
And from a budget standpoint, I just needed to put a number in there that was more realistic.
Yeah.
So that's why, and I gave you the background on that.
Yep.
Then the next area, line item number 223, and this is pretty significant. Russ and I met and we were looking at these two line items. We were looking at line item 220, contractor and professional services. And we were looking at line 221, which is contractor miscellaneous. And we said, oh my gosh, we really don't need both of those. So if you look at that reduction, even though we're looking at bumping up the hauling to 53,000, the total contractor service line, it will be a reduction in a net savings of $40,000 in one fiscal year. So that is a significant number right there. That's real money.
Yeah, that's
So I wanted to point that out, because when we get to the bottom line, one of the things that I always do, I have that accompanying sheet that you guys all get that has each line item. That'll be a good one to point out that, we're being realistic. And then we're down to the other expenses that I'm not going to talk about because we're going to wait till next week and carry those through because Mike will be here to talk about those. So that's what I have for now. I think if there's other things that you guys are thinking about that you want to add, or if there are any other items that you're considering that we need to have as a warrant item on the at town meeting, anything like that you think is going to potentially impact the budget, if we can really start to get that dialed in. I think next week after Mike's discussion, that'll be kind of the last big piece on some of these big ticket items. We should be able to have a tax rate idea. So that's what I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Jennifer before we move on?
Excellent job, as always.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
All right, thank you. On to the next item, which is the review and authorize the amended grant agreement for 12 Dumas Road.
So As you know, we wound up short with the grant because our expenses were a lot more money to tear the building down. And so the state had told me that they would pick up the difference. So this is an amended agreement showing the in-kind from the state. So I would recommend you sign this if we want to get paid. So my recommendation would be to authorize the chair to sign the amended grant. And all the paperwork has been submitted. This is the last step. You know, the government was shut down for a month and a half. So we're lucky to get it.
Move to have the chairs of the select board sign the amended FEMA agreement as presented. Is there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 No.
Aye.
You're not.
Those opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
No.
Closing public comment. Thank you. Brad.
Yeah, hang on a second. I need to just figure out what's going on. Okay, we're back. I don't see anyone, Bob, in the
No.
virtual world.
All right, and there's no one here except for us. Review and approve the warrants and review and approve minutes of the November 13, 20 meetings. So we did the agreement here, sign that. Start with the minutes, but I had a question on the minutes. There's this other one. Move to accept the November 20th select board meeting minutes. Was there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of approving the November 20th, 2025 meeting minutes for the select board, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed with a nay. Motion carries 4-0. Next is going to be the November 13th, and I think this is the one I saw the.
Did you say you thought you saw something in there, Bob?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'll note it.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to put the 13th meeting minutes to the side. I'm not going to hold this up.
Yeah, we can put them on next time if you want.
Yep. Motion to approve the warrant dated 12. These are the AP warrants dated. I got 12/4/25 at the top of the page. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of approving the AP warrants dated 12/4/2025, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries 4-0. I'm going to move that we approve the other warrant dated 12/1/2025 as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of approving the warrant dated 12/1/2025, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed with a nay. That motion carries 4-0. Next is the payroll dated 12/1/2025. I move that we accept that as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a question.
Okay.
I left you a question. Is that, it seems like that there's one left off of that. Was there a different arrangement?
Are you referring to Shara?
Yeah.
I didn't have her W-4, so I couldn't pay her. I emailed her and she's going to provide it for me and I will pay her at the next payroll.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good catch. Sad.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the payroll warrant dated 12/1/2025, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the nay. That motion carries 4-0. I think that's what we got for that.
Was there a copy of that grant in there, Bob?
Yep.
Okay.
Member items, correspondence, announcements. Next regular scheduled select board meeting is on the 11th of December, which will not include a public forum for the proposed lighting of the Tomasi Meadow.
Yeah, I left it in there because we were kind of a bit in limbo and I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen. So, yep, for the record, Bob just stated it. There'll be no public forum at the 11th. And that's on the website and was in my post.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything?
Yeah, I do have a letter that Jennifer had mailed to, what number, Harvest Run?
4.
4 Harvest Run with dog problem. So that's included in your packet. Ongoing. I believe that was all for correspondence. Yeah, so the 11th, next Thursday, is our regular scheduled meeting. So we'll get back on track with regular type items and go from there.
I believe that we wanted to go have an executive session to discuss potential legal matter.
Yes, correct. So
Also, we may need to have an executive session for the approval of the bridge bid.
yeah, to talk to contracts, I think, yeah, that's, let me think about that a little bit more. I thought about that this morning. It is a contract
Uh-huh.
and there may be valid reasons to talk about that in executive session, I think.
So,
Would that be for
I
the
think
next
so.
meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
so do we want to discuss the bridge now, or do you want to in executive session, or do you want to wait
No.
until?
No, we're not ready yet because we're still vetting things out here.
So
We'll be prepared on the 11th.
So I'm looking at you, trying to telepathically talk to you,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you're hearing what I'm saying or
gonna
not,
be
but
a
I haven't
long
raised my
meeting.
voice yet.
Okay.
If we should be going into executives, I should use jazz hands. If
That's what
we
I
should be
like to
going
do.
into executive session to discuss a legal matter.
I'd say not, right. I see what you're saying. Yes.
A
You could.
potential
could.
potential legal matter that we probably should act upon. So I
don't have the,
Dan knows it off the top of his head.
it'll be,
One VSA. or
one
whatever.
VSA 313, and it would be, I guess, it's to discuss a matter that may put the town at a disadvantage regarding pending. I think we should do it next Thursday, Bob, I think, because I want to be more prepared to have a proper motion.
I guess I'm concerned about time.
Okay.
I can look up the last notes
I'm,
when we did it.
I'm-
So is it,
Just go to Google, go 1 VSA 313.
Okay, I've got the legal. You want?
17,
Yeah.
13.
If you want to make a motion to go into executive session based on that. That would be go into executive session for the board and the town administrator.
I may not have a updated list here.
I think it is 1 VSA 313.
It's either A2, 3, 4, but none
Oh,
of those are
records
clear
exempt.
or legal.
Well, can we just say it one,
Probable
say
or-
313?
Probable or
Yeah.
pending litigation.
Yes.
Okay, then I move we go into an.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't say the number of the probable legal litigation.
Should be there.
So it's 1 VSA 313 1C is regarding, I guess that's arbitration or mediation. Or E is pending or probable civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party.
Yes.
Okay. Then, in light of that, I think I move that we go into executive session citing 1 VSA 313 1E regarding pending or probable civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party. And
It's been moved and it has been
I'll
seconded.
second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, you ready for the question? All those in favor of going into executive session, please signify by saying aye.
aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries 4-0. It is now 7:44. We will be going into executive session, and those going into executive session will include the select board and our town administrator, Brad Holden.